Hello everyone, welcome this fine Thursday to our Thursday webinar. Excited to have everybody with us today. And today, my name is Dan Martin. I'm the president of ConnectSMART. And today I'm going to be going through some new features that we are getting ready to roll out to everyone who is on the SP platform, and give you a little bit of sneak peek, and we'll probably be seeing these hit your tenants in the following week, over the weekend, as we're finalizing a couple different items. And some of these are going to be super important and things that you guys have been asking for, so I'm very excited to be able to share that with you today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. I'll be going through it fairly quickly. Feel free to ask any questions by putting a question into the question box, and at the end of this I will go through and hopefully answer any questions that you may have. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the security model. This has been a big deal for a lot of folks, and so we've added in and made a lot of modifications into security, and I want to show you exactly how that works. So you already know, if you're an administrator of your ConnectSMART SP, that you have the ability to add your own users, and you now have an option to manage groups. So you can create groups and call those groups whatever you want. This just simply defines a group name which you can add users to. Once you have defined a group for any of your users that you've created, you have this groups option where you can set what groups that they're in and add and remove those users from the groups. So pretty straightforward to simply add a user and add them to a group that you have defined. Now the second thing that is going to apply as soon as you've added those users is where you want to apply that security. And on the report side, I'll start there. You will have the ability to select whatever report that you might have that you want to apply security for. And you'll notice this little key over on the side where you can click that key to now select what group that you want to manage. So in this case, I had a group that I called the Test Dashboard View Only, and I can say, what do the members of this group have, and that is to view only. Now an important thing to note is that by default we have not changed any of your existing dashboards or reports. So you don't have to worry that as soon as this gets rolled out, everybody stops breaking. So the security will only take effect once you have applied security to it. So if I take this executive summary report and I select my group and say I want this group to have view only access, as soon as I do that, now only members who are in that view only or administrators will have access to this particular report. The same functionality takes place for dashboards as well. So if I go over to our dashboard browser, we can see here, if I take, I'll mess with one of Jen's testing ones and make her not have access to anything. Under the Actions button, you'll see Security. And when we click Security, it's exactly that same dialog where we can add a group or multiple groups to have view only or to have edit and view access. All right, so one thing that I failed to mention, I apologize, I was going a little too quickly. I hate to jump back and forth, but on the Manage Users, when you define a user, not only do you have the groups access, but I'll pick an account here, and here you can now control what other areas do they have access to. So even if you have not applied security to a dashboard, for instance, you can still either give them access or restrict access from the model browser, from Task Manager, from Reports Designer, etc. And the administrator role, you can see here, will actually override everything and give access to everything in the system. So let me show you an example of that user, the dash user that I had modified, and you can see I haven't given it any roles at all, but I did give some dashboards some access. So if I look at where that is logged in, you can see when I log in as that user, the only thing that I see access to is the dashboard, browser and the reports that have either not had security applied to them, or you can see a specific security. You can see one here. Actually refresh this. Okay, you can see I had applied security to the Gen testing dashboard, and so I can now see that I have read-only access to this dashboard. These are the only two dashboards that I've actually applied security to. So these others are still available because no security has been applied to those dashboards. All right, so I'm sure that there will be some questions that will be coming up based on the security model, but we put some pretty good granularity to be able to give people access just to the things you want to. But at the same time, if security is not something that matters to you and you're just having access to it on a couple public boards, you can leave it just the way it was and not have to worry about making a change to still be working. So that's a very quick overview of the security model. Now, what I'd like to show you is we've done a lot of changes in the user interface as well. Been doing some tweaks and a pretty major changes. So this is the existing UI that you've seen, and this is using that dark theme. If you're currently using it, you had kind of the light and the dark theme that you could switch back and forth between. And so this, the entire front end has been redone as well. So let me actually take an example of that one, and I will show you a couple changes that are in the UI. A couple things that you'll notice is that most everything is in these action buttons instead of across the side to kind of keep it a lot tighter. You also have the ability to do sorting by categories, by names. You can also search for dashboards. That was an item that was missing previously. And now I'm going to just take a test dashboard. Let's see if this was the one that I was playing with. And you can get an idea of the UI is a lot tighter and a lot cleaner. There's a couple things that I did not change on here that I wanted to show you how it works. So we now have, again, instead of having a bunch of different options up in the top here, we have this actions button where we can select the different actions that we have available. First off, I want to show you some changes that have been made to the widgets themselves in the dashboard designer. All right, so in this here you'll see that we see this name here that says HTML widget. So if you have HTML widgets that you have added to a dashboard, we added a default title. So if you don't want that title in this title bar area, then you will want to change that. So I can click on those, and the same way that we had previously, you now have a text title here that you can go ahead and modify. And anytime you delete the text, that whole section will actually disappear. The same thing applies to these bars as well. All right, so that allows you to clean these up and to make it a much tighter user interface. And let me switch to just another standard dashboard. And I'm just going to grab something that we've been playing with. Okay, so since I'm not using the dark theme, you can see that we've added in this title bar into all of the different widgets. So since I have now this one is more of a high contrast, you can see that that bar is there. And if we go into the edit mode, the same way, if I didn't like having a title bar for some reason and I wanted to have a different type of titles, give me a moment here as this switches into our edit mode. So I could delete that text if I didn't want to have text in a title bar, and maybe if I just wanted to use a subtitle, I could, if I was able to type, I'd be apply and go back into that kind of that flat look that was in the previous view without the title bar. But you have that option to have either one or both if you wanted to. So you have really a lot of flexibility in that general look and feel to be able to make those changes. All right, so another thing that you'll note that we've changed is in the colors. So I want to point this out. By default, you'll notice that this is kind of a clear, meaning it has no color defined to it. Now I can do a specific color to overwrite a, actually that's the wrong one. Let me actually take this one. So I can go ahead and overwrite this in my, well, if I actually get, where's my, that's what happens when you're doing this live. Actually find the one that's actually for the main text. So I can apply a specific color to it to override my colors, and the same way that we had to in our in the previous versions, you still have your color conditions to be able to set a color condition, but you can also leverage our updated palette functionality. So if I go into the color picker and you see that I have the kind of that more and less option, I can actually remove the color, and this will now take effect with the palettes that are defined. So I'm going to show you how that works, and I'm going to go back into our view mode. So one of the things that a lot of people have asked for is they said, okay, you know, light and dark is fine, but I really want to have a lot more flexibility with the colors that I want. So we've added in, instead of just selecting theme to toggle back and forth between it, you now have the ability to build your own themes and save those themes in palettes. So in this case, I have a couple here that I've just been playing with. I can select my dark one that I've created, and I apply that dark theme. You can see here it's been applied to the dashboard and just made it all very dark. Now I can also make different, whatever changes I want to these different areas, whether it's the, you know, the page, the widget, background text, the upper colors, bottom colors. We have the ability to really have a lot of flexibility in how this is going to look. So if I wanted to make this just a slight different to where I wanted to have between the title upper background and the bottom background of the title to add it back in the kind of that shading, I can go and save this as a new one and go ahead and apply. Oops, I hit the wrong one. All right, so close that. Go back to my themes. I should see that dark 2 that I had just created, and I can go ahead and apply that to the dashboard. Go ahead and close that, and now you can see that it now has that that gradient that's been applied. So you really have full control over the look and the feel to be able to see, you know, if you like it in a dark view, if you want to have a much larger title, you can have now control over the size of your titles to make them really large if you're putting them on a big, on a big dashboard where everybody has the access to see it. And you can really make it as either high contrast for those large displays or nice, tight, and dark for yourself if you're like the like that dark look and feel, or, you know, the lighter versions. Really anything that you want. You know, any color combination that you can dream of, you now have the ability to make those changes in the ConnectSMART SP. So in addition to a lot of this UI change, the look and feel, you'll also see coming in the ability to set the color conditions on charts, which has been a big thing that people have asked for. We should see that being rolled out very shortly as well, to where you'll be able to set the color condition of a chart, whether it's a bar chart or a pie chart like this one, to either be a value-based color or being able to have a label-based color. So if every time you see the username of D Ortiz, you wanted to see that in pink, then you would be able to assign that color condition to where the label, if the label is D Ortiz, then it would automatically change that bar to be pink. So it would be consistent to be able to quickly see you know, similarities between multiple charts on a dashboard.